The news around Hunter Greene's speculative elbow injury is much better than even I thought it would be.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Jeff Carr, and this is the Locked On Reds podcast. We're talking about Hunter Greene's injury. We got an update on the double opinions that he received from Friday and from Monday. Tuesday morning, it was released that Hunter Greene does not need Tommy John surgery. However, he will miss some time. We will not see him until July. So I'm kind of earmarking the All-Star break. Right after the All-Star break is probably when Hunter Greene will make his debut. But this is great news. I thought whenever we first heard about this injury, because we heard elbow stiffness or, his elbow's not feeling right. And quite frankly, when you talk about a pitcher and their throwing elbow not feeling right, more often than not, the next thing that you hear is, see you next year. That's not what we heard here. And I think that is the important part with this. I know that there's been a lot of folks that have been like, really? July? Seriously, we're going to lose him for that long? I didn't expect him to pitch this year. I thought that the Reds' pitching depth would be tested from day 1 through 162. The good news is it sounds like that won't be the case. Now, of course, things still have to go right. He is going to get his elbow scoped because, as they said in the report, there are, quote, foreign bodies in his elbow. So, whether that's a bone spur or cartilage or whatever, I'm not necessarily sure of those specific details, but they are going to scope his elbow, clean it out, make sure everything's good. He's going to rehab, and then he'll be back in July. And I think that this is important because there are a couple of different ways to approach this. And I think that for me, it's key that he's coming back this year, but this is also perfect in the strategy when it pertains to Chase Burns and Rhett Lowder. Because we've talked about their importance to this rotation a couple of different times. If you missed yesterday's episode or even today's episode, we talked about Chase Burns and Rhett Lowder and how things are going to work for them because their talent is undeniable. And as long as they continue to develop at a rate that we expect, they're going to be key members of the starting rotation for years to come. But they will be very valuable for the Reds even this season. The key will be managing their time because they're not going to be guys that you can turn loose, expect to throw every 5 days, get 30, and if, you include playoffs and stuff like that, upwards of 35 starts in a season, that would be malpractice on their career. The way that we understand pitching nowadays is that you don't just turn guys loose a la Mark Pryor, Kerry Wood back in the early 2000s with the Chicago Cubs, because you saw what happened to those guys' careers. They didn't last long. So in order for guys to have a nice, long, healthy, happy career, you kind of take it easy on them in the first few years in the majors. And with Rhett Lowder missing all of last year due to myriad injuries, Chase Burns getting drafted and then being basically in the minors for 20 seconds and then being called up last year, they're still very, very early on in both of their careers. So there is a key to this in that we will be able to see the Reds turn those guys loose early on in the season. And then when about the time of the year that you're like, okay, maybe they got to start managing their time a little bit, Hunter Greene's going to come back healthy. So I think for me, this is the best case scenario. Because I was thinking that the Reds were not going to see him at all. And Hunter Greene even said the other day, and I questioned it, but you know what? I'll eat some crow. Because he said that there was no UCL damage. And I sarcastically said, well, thank you, Dr. Hunter Greene. But he knows himself better than I know him, so there's that. And it's clear that there was some understanding of where he was physically and where his elbow was at this point in spring training. And while you could do the thing that many of us Cincinnati sports fans want to do and try to really examine the negative of this, why didn't they take care of it earlier? Why wasn't this something that was done last offseason, last September, last October, whatever it might be? Why wasn't this something that was handled? I have a clear opinion as to what that is and what could be the driving force behind this now being taken care of in March as opposed to months ago. But I still think that this decision was the responsible one for Hunter Greene because it's clear that during the period of time that we think he probably could have had this taken care of, he felt as though he could push through it. And instead of continuing to push through it and pitching on opening day and pitching early on in the season, he was presented with a couple of options. You can pitch now and risk major damage and the potential of Tommy John surgery this year. Or you can get this taken care of in a much more minor surgery than Tommy John and be valuable to the Reds in the second half of the season and for the playoff run. So for me, I'm still giving points to him for responsibility here. And I'm also not going to be that guy that stands on a table and says, Hunter Greene doesn't want to play. I've heard that. People have said, Hunter Greene got his paycheck and he don't want to play. I find that extremely disingenuous and very lazy, because I think we need to put ourselves in his shoes for just a moment. And we'll do that coming up next. I'm thrilled to be talking about our sponsor for the day, MLB The Show 26. You know where Hunter Greene isn't hurt? On MLB The Show 26. MLB The Show 26 puts you exactly in the driver's seat where you want to be of your favorite franchise, whether you're playing franchise mode or if you want to play Diamond Dynasty mode and put together a fantasy team and dominate your opponents, check out Diamond Dynasty. Plus, we got a great pack for you, a Locked On special pack for Diamond Dynasty. Go to MLBTHE.show/LockedOn and use the promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, to get that special pack today. And you can pre-order MLB The Show now through March 17th, as that's when the game comes out. It's for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and Nintendo Switch. Of course, MLB The Show 26 is rated E for everyone. And it's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is, well, a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient. Sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they're really getting your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has an in-person location near you. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. Opening day is fast approaching. We are 16 days away from opening day in Cincinnati, the best day of the year, and there is no better way to get to opening day, or any Reds game for that matter, than using Game Time. Game Time has every single aspect of buying tickets covered for you. If you've ever felt anxiety about getting to an event, getting your tickets to an event, and making sure that you are good to go, Game Time covers all of that because it's on your phone, right there with you every step of the way. You see the full price before you ever put it in your cart, and you can even see your view from your seat. They take the guesswork out of buying tickets because, quite frankly, if you're going somewhere you've never been, you want to know that you're getting the best deal and the best spot. Game Time's got you covered with that. And now, if you set up your account and use the promo code LOCKEDON, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. So download Game Time today. Use that promo code LOCKEDON. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. It's time to go to Game Time because it's time to go to the ballpark. Thanks for making Locked On Reds part of your day every single day. Look, you already make us your team every day. Now take it up a notch. Go ad-free. Check out the Locked On Reds Everyday Club at lockedonreds.supercast.com. Check out the link in the description to learn more. Plus, you can use the promo code MARCH for a free month of the Locked On Reds Everyday Club. Check out that website to learn more. And we have this great new episode over on Locked On MLB. It's the Locked On MLB Top 100. We reveal the entire list. It's over on the Locked On MLB channel. Go check it out today. And look, I know there's probably some folks that are questioning my take when it comes to this Hunter Greene injury. There's a lot of folks that already know. Well, Jeff, you look at the team through rose-colored glasses like nobody we know. And I understand. I am one of the most positive people when it comes to this team, but I was being really realistic and maybe even slightly pessimistic about this report when it first came out. So to hear that Hunter Greene is going to pitch in 2026, I am thrilled to hear that. And I think that this was handled the way that it could be handled, because hear me out on this. There's a lot of criticism that's being levied toward Greene and toward the organization because this injury was not taken care of during the offseason when, had he done that, probably would have been ready for most, if not all, of 2026. And sure, hindsight's 2020 in this, but let's put ourselves in Hunter Greene's shoes for a minute. And while that would be nice to have the money that he is making off of the contract that he has, albeit, we laud it for being very team-friendly, but he's still making more money than I am. That would be a lot of fun. But let's consider for a moment what he has been through since last season. He had the groin injury. That took longer for him to get back than he expected. I think that there's something to this where folks are like, well, could he have been back? Sure. But he did not trust himself. And if he's not going to trust himself in his stuff, and he's going to be on the mound, he's going to try to lob a 100-mile-an-hour fastball at an opposing hitter, but he doesn't trust it fully, then that's probably going to be bad for the results of that game. And so I don't put the blame on him that others do. Meanwhile, you have this report that comes out, and the report that Mark Sheldon released was not Mark Sheldon's opinion. This was Mark Sheldon reporting what he had heard. And remember, he did not specifically name names of people who said things, but Mark Sheldon is connected within the team. There's not a fabrication element to this. This is what he has heard. And if Mark Sheldon has heard it, Hunter Greene has heard it. So put yourself in his shoes for a minute. Your coworkers are doubting you. Your managers, your coworkers, the people above you have said that you are not giving your all to this job. So you're going to once again deal with another injury and say, yeah, I'm probably not going to be ready for camp at the same time that everybody else is ready for camp. No, we are all human beings here. Let's do the thing that we're not doing right now. And no matter where you sit in society, I don't think you can dispute this. We are not empathizing. There's not a situation where we look at another person and we see them going through something and we try to empathize with them. That needs to happen a lot more. I don't care what side of the aisle, where you are in life, what your beliefs are. I don't care. Empathy needs to be a thing we have. And sports is probably one of the key places where there is no such thing as empathy. Because we as fans want our guys out there every single day, all the way, and getting our team to the championship. And when they aren't, we have questions. And I think when it comes to this situation, we as Reds fans need to have a little bit more empathy when it comes to Hunter Greene. Because if I were in his spot and I was getting constantly questioned by my coworkers and by my managers, I would do everything I could, maybe even some of it detrimental to my own health, to prove them wrong. That's what he was trying to do. And he probably got to a point where he was like, okay, I'm not feeling great with this elbow, but I'm just going to keep going. And somebody stopped him because they saw something wrong. Maybe this was Derek Johnson that saw this and was like, dude, we need to figure this out because we need the best version of you. Not just you on the mound. We need the best version of you on the mound. And I don't know that. That's me speculating. That's just me thinking about how this situation was coming through. But empathize for a second with Hunter Greene. Because I get it. I would do the same thing. I would push through whatever it is to try and prove those people wrong that are saying the things about me. And I even asked the question, I'm like, how are you going to give that interview that he gave to Jeremy Rowell and say in the most polite, professional way possible, hold my beer, watch what happens this year. I'm going to prove you wrong. Even knowing that your elbow wasn't feeling right. It's because he felt slighted. And for me, if I feel slighted by my coworkers, which I don't, I love my job. But if that were to be the case, then I would do everything I could to prove them wrong. And so I'm really excited to see what happens when he comes back in July. And I think that this is something that is going to be very good for the Reds. This was the right decision, albeit it could have been done earlier. But if I were Hunter Greene, I would not be coming to them and saying, yeah, I'm hurt again. That thing that you keep talking about that I have problems with, well, I have problems with it again. I don't know how we can expect him to be honest with that when he is hearing that from behind closed doors. And while we will never know who it was that was saying those things and the reports that were coming out about the team, the fact that they did not have his back led to this. They forced him to push through whatever it was that he was going through. You can imagine if it were a different injury, he'd still be trying to push through it because he's trying to prove these people wrong. So I got some empathy with this, and I'm still excited about the fact that we are going to see him in 2026. So much more to cover when it comes to the Cincinnati Reds, and we'll be with you every step of the way as we get ready for opening day right here on the Locked On Reds podcast. Make sure you subscribe and follow us and join the Everydayers Club on lockedonreds.supercast.com because we've got Reds content for you every single day because we are Locked On Reds every single day.